Hello and welcome back to Podcasting is Praxis. I'm David. I'm here this week with Rob.
Yes, I'm here for my sins. I've brought juice.
Good. Jamie.
All right.
And Alistair.
Hi, I don't have any juice, unfortunately.
Poor planning. Shocking. Wouldn't get that in this podcast.
Yeah, we've now that all the that sweet Patreon money's rolling in. Unfortunately, I've only still got the capacity to buy cans of Pepsi. So,
yeah.
So anyway, I mean, I come to you tonight straight from the fucking the front lines of terror itself. I was watching Gedley stream My Summer Car.
oh god, really?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a fucking anxiety dream.
I'm not familiar with this magnum opus
Well,
or whatever.
I only caught like the end of the stream, but like he bought some shopping. He had to carry a bag full of shopping, and he was trying to ride his moped back to his house, and it was like giving me a fucking panic attack. He couldn't get the bag of shopping onto the bikes, so he had to fucking like people were telling him in the chat like, oh, you've got to like do this and then lean this way to put it on the back of and it wouldn't go on, and it was just, you know, like when you have one of those dreams where you're trying to do something really not like fundamentally normal and it just won't work. And then, like, he's riding the moped one-handed so he can hold the bag of shopping, and he couldn't find he had to stop to get directions, and cars were like nearly hitting him. It was just terrifying. Was, you know what I mean? I spent the like couple hours before that watching someone play an actual horror game, and it just couldn't compete, quite frankly. Like, you know what I mean, with the existential terror of man lost on a fucking like Finnish moped with a bag of shopping.
Yeah, but Jamie, that's the thing. That is just day-to-day life in Finland. I mean, that game is basically fucking The Sims, but for Finland.
I mean, I can believe it. I've known some Finnish people, and they were all just like roaring drunks.
Yes.
So it was like,
it's nice to start
I was just going to say, they would always tell stories like, oh yes, we drank like 3 bottles of whiskey and then drove like 300 miles through the snow and killed a moose.
Yeah, yes, this is sounding extremely familiar with this.
I mean, it really wouldn't be a representative. It really wouldn't be representative of the Finnish experience if it didn't have the swear button, which allows you to stick your middle finger up and say "voi vittu" at passers-by.
I do that myself, so you know what I mean. Solidarity with my Finnish brethren. I did that today, in fact, when I passed the community speed watch as I came into the village.
Any Finnish listeners, please write in.
Because as far as I'm concerned, the community speed watch can community go fuck themselves.
What the fuck is a community speed watch?
Oh, it's basically some nerd who like fucking just stands out with he's bought his private like radar gun, and he just stands out at the side of the road like. I think now he's got one of those like signs that they put at the side of the road, and it says your speed is, and then it has an LED display, and like
wait, but this is just some random prick with no like
legal
it's just
authority
who just sits there.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah, and then he sends you a letter. He sends you do you know what I mean? If he clocks you speeding, he'll like get your address from the like police and send you a letter saying you were caught by the community speed watch, and it's just like, fuck off. Do you know what I mean? It's like, this is a warning, but if it happens again, if it happens again, my arse. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to stand up in court.
If it happens again, well, real police are here.
Yeah,
you'll get the more security guys sent off.
It's the most British fucking thing imaginable. Basically, do you know what I mean? I'm just going to stand at the side of the road and like digitally tut at people for going at 31 miles an hour.
No, Jamie, the most English thing about that is then automating that man out of a job with the LED screen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just fucking, do you know what I mean? Just atrocious, like.
Well, nice to start the stream off with a shout out to one of the Nice to start the pod off with a shout out to one of the friends of the pod, Gedley. You can check him out at twitch.tv/GedStation.
Sorry, and our other 6 Finnish listeners. I just checked the statistics. We have 7 downloads from Finland.
This one is for you.
Shout
right,
out
okay.
to the depression in the eternal night.
Yes, yes, I live that. Rob, let's do some news. We are going to talk about the election stuff and more kind of finality than we did in the last episode because things were still ongoing. But,
many things we're
so
doing.
We'll just start off with some news as normal. So, Rob, what have you got for us?
Just very briefly off the top. Right, now I just wanted to start off the podcast. I think everybody who listens will have seen by now a lot of the videos and images of yet another assault on Gaza by Israeli occupation forces, specifically the assault on the Al-Aqsa mosque, where they fired tear gas into the middle of Ramadan service. These are ghastly images from a ghastly conflict. I don't know if we'll talk what we're going to do about this.
It's so cool that it's like Hamas fires like a kid's slingshot towards the the border wall, and it's like, well, time to launch a bunch of airstrikes. Just completely proportionate response as ever. I mean, you love to see it.
Yeah, I think by the time of this,
you can tell nothing like serious is like coming from the Palestinian side of this like conflict in big air quotes there, because they always describe the rockets as being fired towards Jerusalem. Do you know what I mean? You'd think if the rockets actually fucking hit anything, we'd hear about it.
Right, but is this like if I throw a paper airplane out my window in the rough direction of Jerusalem, am I then also a Hamas sympathizer? Oh, all right, cool. I know what I'm doing tomorrow.
That's why you're based out of Switzerland, though, Rob, isn't it? That's what the mountain ranges are for.
Yeah, exactly.
If the US Coast Guard can try and attack Iranian boats, like despite the US coast being thousands of miles away, I think that still counts.
Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to encourage our listeners, if they can, to contribute. We'll put two links in the show notes with two organizations. I've checked them out. I think they're very good and reputable, but, I'm not a charities commission, so please do some of your own homework.
Do your own research.
But there is the Medical Aid for Palestine, map.org.uk, which does what it says on the tin. They provide medical aid, a lot of medical assistance, and hospital equipment is being blocked by Israel at the borders. So these guys do really good work. The other one is a more general fund at Muslim Aid. They have a specific appeal for the Palestinian emergency going on right now. If you can, please do donate. And as a quick side note before we move off on this, we're recording just after the Queen's speech was done in the Parliament, and one of the new laws they're introducing is forbidding any public body on any level to engage in BDS, in divestment and boycotts of Israeli settlements in occupied and illegal settlements in occupied Palestine. So the noose is once again tightening. Your government's not going to do shit. It is upon us to show solidarity. So please do that.
It's great that we're going to enshrine in law Keir Starmer's reaction to someone at an iftar saying, "I don't like Israeli dates and I won't buy them," by avoiding it. And enshrining that in law that you must react in that way, as Keir Starmer did.
Yeah, I think today he did put out a tweet saying this is unacceptable, blah, blah, but I do think that that's more linked to the upcoming by-election where there's a large minority population. So Keir Starmer has no deeply held beliefs. He is a former cop. Do not trust him. Any signals he makes now is that because he wants to win and will probably lose the next by-election, but we'll talk more about that later in the episode. So that's just off the top of the thing. If you can, please do donate. We'll put links in the show description.
I'm wishing best wishes for Peter Mandelson's skin suit.
All right, so the first story I really wanted to touch on was essentially that Midlands trains should get fucked. There's a story in The Guardian by a guy called Jesus Christ. This is a story by a guy in The Guardian. It's their transport correspondent, a guy called Gwyn Topham.
That's a bit. Nope. That cannot be real.
No.
You can't tell me a guy called Topham is writing fucking articles about trains and that's not a bit.
It looks like Rob, have you been fooled by fucking Steph Got Booted, one of his many photoshops?
Is the fucking author image a guy in a top hat? Little fucking wooden puppet dude in like a waistcoat and a top hat, standing next to a train with a face on the front. Is that this Topham fella? Is it?
Right. Motherfucker. I'm not going to just let this pass by. Here's Gwyn Topham.
I've got a sneaking suspicion that like they don't have Thomas the Tank Engine in Holland, so Rob's got absolutely no fucking clue what we're about.
No, this is one of those things that sort of escaped my childhood.
All right, well, yeah,
But you
for
guys
Rob
just do
and
bits, it's fine. I'll just sit here, you know.
for the sake of Rob and like our Finnish listeners that we mentioned earlier, like the fucking guy in charge of the railroad in Thomas the Tank Engine is called Sir Topham Hatt.
Amazing. But yeah, they do
maybe they're related. Maybe that's how this guy got the gig.
It's probably true. Journalism is a lot about.
Yeah, that scans actually like. Do you know what I mean?
Railway magnate's son.
That is one sexy motherfucker, though.
Yeah, for the benefit of the listener, please Google Sir Topham Hatt.
Another great episode where we make visual gags on an audio medium.
Yeah. We're good at this, man.
Look, I think most of the listeners are familiar with fucking Thomas the Tank Engine, you know, Finnish listeners notwithstanding.
Anyway, to bring it briefly back
do I even want to dare ask what kids watch instead of Thomas the Tank Engine in Holland?
There was, I swear to God, when I was growing up, one of the big shows that people were watching was a show called Pernod de Pernod, which is really quite what you think it was.
What? What do I think it even is? I don't know.
The thing to know is that the Dutch shows, they do have one thing in common with Thomas the Tank Engine, and it's their use of coal. It's just they don't use it in the same way.
Go through the same amount of it, though.
No, it was essentially these two guys wearing bright purple uniforms called Pernod and Pernod, and they would, I don't know, they would fuck around and find out, essentially.
That sounds incredible, that, like.
Is that not just...
Thomas the Tank Engine, which is living trains fucking around and finding out, and in some cases getting bricked up behind a fucking wall.
Oh, yeah, that fucking, like, cask of Amontillado shit.
No. Is Pernod and Pernod just like a really weird Dutch Chuckle Brothers then?
I was going to say it might be the Dutch answer to Big Cook Little Cook cardboard box.
That's not going to make any fucking sense.
It's essentially like, I mean, they were just like drawn two purple guys. They looked sort of like really a cross between a Teletubby and a manky Mega Man. And they did
like Grimace. I'm hearing Grimace from like McDonald's. Yeah.
Oh my god.
And they had
it's like a cross between the Noid and Grimace.
Yeah, pretty much. And they would have these really weird episodes, essentially with like half-naked tits, and they would write.
Why is he in his pants?
This is the most Dutch fucking thing I've ever heard. Like,
how the fuck have you compared this to Thomas the Tank Engine?
Well, it seems about as sensible.
What the fuck? For the benefit of the listener, Rob has shared a picture of a small purple man in the back of a woman's bikini bottom, like being worn by the woman. Yeah. And she's not wearing a top. Yeah. You can see nipple.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got the biggest shit-eating grin you've ever fucking seen.
And it looks like it was done in MS Paint.
There is one of the more famous episodes, which especially when you're a bit older and you sort of think, what the fuck was going on there? The second episode is actually called In the Tickler's Lair, which I thought was...
Oh. I think we can safely say...
I do not like this detail.
David... I think we can safely say, without fear of libel, that this man is a sex criminal.
Yes. At 100%.
Christ alive, like.
Right, can we talk about the trains again, please? I want to go back to the safety of the train story.
I thought when I asked what they made kids watching in Holland, I could maybe somehow at some point tie that into some sort of implication that all Dutch people were like deviants, but I didn't need to make the effort, like.
Bear in mind, this was also like state television, like taxpayer money paid for this gloriousness.
Rob, trains, please. Please, the trains.
Oh, I'm having way more fun this episode than I thought I would. Anyway.
Oh my god.
Back to... So this... Okay, we're going to need a moment.
I'm sorry. Every time
No,
I look back,
trains.
every time I look
trains.
back at the Discord, I see that fucking thing grinning at me.
I'm deleting it. I'm fucking deleting it.
Only like 20 minutes in. Oh, Jesus wept. Is that why you moved out of Switzerland then? To move to Switzerland then?
Oh, Christ almighty.
All right, we can do this.
Oh, right, okay.
All right. Briefly back to trains. Midland's trains did what presumably their workers thought was a nice thing first. They emailed the entire staff list an email from, I think, the CEO promising a one-off bonus for everybody.
Yeah, I saw this. This is a fucking come down.
Who helped run the trains on time during the pandemic. So, of course, you'd get that and you think, well, I've earned a bonus for my hard work during this pandemic. And you'd click on the link, and instead...
And then you'd get a bollocking for clicking on the link in a phishing email.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was the IT department running the phishing.
The guy... The CEO's obviously a cunt, right? But I don't think he's quite at the level where you can say he made the trains run on time. I don't think he was that evil.
There were certainly a lot of trains involved, though.
I mean, I don't think there's a company capable in the UK of making the trains run on time. So
no, there aren't.
But yeah,
this is just kind of bullshit.
Said, saying this was a test designed by our IT team to entice you to use the link and use both the promise of thanks and financial reward. So that will teach you, your fucking worker, to expect a bonus. Bonuses.
Yeah, imagine getting an email saying that, oh, you're going to get a bonus and not immediately being fucking sus.
Yeah, fair play.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Anyway, when of course the unions were super pissed and questions were asked by, among others, the Guardian, by Gwyn Topham, of course. And in response, we take cybersecurity very seriously and run regular training, and it is important to test your resilience. Apparently, the workers need.
Do you want to know the worst part about this fucking story is you'd think
the majority of these security breaches happen at higher up levels of management more than anything else.
Oh, it's like some dipshit leaves like a USB stick on a train somewhere which contains like confidential files.
Oh yeah.
But
See, when it comes to phishing stuff, like statistically, the people more likely to fuck up are like the CEOs and the fucking upper management. They're the ones that have the big stupid breaches.
Yeah, because they're all like a bajillion years old, aren't they?
I was going to say, you look at this and you think, well, they've stepped on a fucking rake that they placed themselves there. Do you know what I mean? You would think you'd maybe have the foresight to see that would cause a backlash. But the worst part about that is, I can remember this exact thing happening to a company in America sometime late on last year, and there was it made international news, and there was an outcry about it because they sent out an email saying, "Oh, we're going to pay you all a bonus for your good work during the pandemic," and it was a phishing link, and everyone got a bollocking for clicking on it. They're being so gullible.
Yeah,
and so presumably, the IT people at fucking what was it,
Midlands
Trains saw this happen in America and saw it blow up and thought, "Yeah, we should do that. That's a good idea."
I mean, Jamie, you got to realise that the ultimate goal of the neoliberal state is to ensure that no one ever learns anything from the past ever.
Plus, IT guys are kind of dicks.
I mean, plus, if you remember, this was also how we got all the Hillary emails, wasn't it? Because John Podesta clicked on a phishing link in his emails, and that's why they got, like, the giant cache. I'm quite sure that's how they got, like, the Hillary emails.
Love it.
I mean, that's pretty much how any, it's either social engineering or, just being some dipshit clicking on a Word document that for some reason ends .exe.
Anyway, so yeah.
Right, Rob, tell us about this next thing, the spectre that keeps fucking reappearing in our episodes.
Yeah, just a bit of follow-up from one of my favourite stories. But free ports, as it turns out, are even more garbage than when we talked about them for like a whole episode long.
Does that mean that not even
form?
Not even the hot dog guy who runs the little stand gets any money.
Well, I mean, if you remember, what's that Tory mayor who just got elected with a big majority? Ben Hoosh, whatever his fucking last name is. That guy.
I ain't got a fucking clue, mate. do you know what I mean? I can name like maybe one mayor in the entire, two mayors in the entire country.
He's the guy who won with like 76%, and one of his big achievements is that he's brought a free port to his region.
Was this in Teesside?
No, it's West Midlands. I can't remember the exact region where the actual particular port is. Anyway,
I think it's just Midlands, Mail.
I was assuming you were going to say it's the Teesside mayor, and I was going to tell like everyone in Teesside to sort their fucking lives out. But I guess now, sort your fucking lives out, Teesside.
No, this is a story from the Financial Times by Peter Foster. The Sussex.
Then I'm really likely to have read it.
This is a story. A big data set was crunched by Sussex University, coming to the.
Why don't we ever read articles from the Viz?
Yeah, this week's news nugget: the 5-knuckle shuffle.
I'm picturing. I'll tell you what I'm picturing now. Right, is a free port in the West Midlands. Did you say?
Yeah.
And yes. Rich people are using it to store art, and all of the art is that purple cat down the back of that woman's bikini.
Oh my god! Are there NFTs of that fucking creepy little cunt?
Not yet. He is actually there. Sorry, I was wrong, Jamie. He is the mayor for Tees Valley.
What? A little purple cunt?
Right, well, sort your fucking lives out, Teesside.
Now, anyway, to get back to the free port. So, as we discussed on a previous episode, I think it's 56, but we can edit some joke, whatever, in where it is.
We can edit the jokes in later.
Just go and look it up for yourselves. We're not your fucking butlers.
So they crunched a lot of historical data about free ports and specifically how these ones are supposed to work given the new post-Brexit trading relations, etc., etc. So,
see, when you say they crunched a bunch of historical data, I'm picturing them trying to find out which episode it was we discussed it on. We think it's 56.
Find out in next week's Financial Times.
Right. Very briefly, for people who don't want to listen back to the whole episode, the whole idea is that if you're a free port, you can import parts and materials tariff-free, combine them into a finished product, let's say a car or something rather, and only when you export the car, either into the UK or to another country, you pay the tariff. The advantage you get from not being free port is the difference between the tariffs you don't pay on the parts and the final product that you do export. This is called tariff duty inversion, and that's sort of, broadly speaking, the way they work. Either that or they store Fabergé eggs.
I was going to say, in theory, it sounds like a good idea, but I'm sure the devil is in the detail.
It's shenanigans for rich twats, basically, isn't it? Yeah. It's like, yes, I own like fucking, what was it, Fabergé eggs? Was that what we settled on?
I think that's what we settled on, yeah.
Yeah, I own all the world's Fabergé eggs, but you can't tax me on with your Fabergé egg tax because they don't actually exist because they're in the fucking, like, the backwards room from Tenet.
Pretty much. Anyway, the other thing apart from quantum storage is this business about import-export differential. As I said, Sussex University, they crunched the numbers, and only 1% of UK imports by value can actually benefit from this differential between tariff-free parts and tariff payment on final products.
Almost as if it's just a big racket.
Yeah. My favourite bit of the article was, though, that the only real beneficiary they could identify by sector as to who would actually benefit from having these Freeport zones would be dog and cat food producers.
Okay.
Fantastic.
So, yeah. The UK, if the UK wishes to base its future economy on kibble, then it can actually make a lot more money if it would choose to do so. The research.
What's the economy? I was going to say, what's the economy based on currently? It's incinerating foreign lands, isn't it?
Vibes.
Yeah, vibes and property.
Yeah, vibes and missile systems.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the research concludes that introducing freeports in the UK is unlikely to generate any significant businesses in the terms of duty savings or pretty much in terms of doing anything. The only thing that it will do, which is why, of course, these things will be majority placed in Tory-controlled councils, is they will just suck in business from surrounding regions because they will be able to do stuff in the tax-free zone. So if you're in a Tory-held mayoralty, for example, your business will boom while the next-door Labour council will lose businesses because they will be drawn into the free tax zone.
Are there any Labour councils?
Not that many anymore. They lost about 300, but we'll get on that in a moment.
Is that good?
Yes. No, specifically, that is actually very good.
We've crunched the numbers, and the answer is yes.
Well, specifically, they crunched the numbers in Croydon Council. If you remember that a while ago there was an ITV reporting done that showed really fucking horrible conditions in council housing run by Croydon Council, including entire walls made up of black mold and carpets completely soaked through because of the leaks.
It wouldn't have been my first choice of building material, it has to be said.
Anyway, so it was quite well seen. So the Croydon Council did a report, and the report came up with the following findings. It was an independent audit of how they run their council housing. I'll give you a brief headline summary. The Croydon Council had a lack of capacity and competence when it came to running social housing. There was a poor operating...
I'm sorry, not only could they not fix it, they couldn't even fucking fix it if they tried.
Well, that may be
basically...
That may be because the culture existing within council housing organisation in Croydon had little respect for tenants and showed a lack of care.
That's a Labour council, right?
This is a Labour-controlled council.
Did we? Can I
fucking surprise?
Yeah.
Did we skim from like one topic straight into the next without a pause for breath there? Because I genuinely feel like I've lost time. Do you know what I mean?
No. I missed one bit because the jump from the one into the other, because we were talking about councils, was quite good. So
that's absolutely fine, mate. I just thought I'd like fucking had a brain aneurysm or something.
Just having a fucking absent stroke.
Yeah, I think we just like sequence break in the fucking show notes. Do you know what I mean? For the any % speed run.
Yeah, we're glitching through the show notes this time.
Yeah.
No, I think that was only on the lost episode, wasn't it?
Yeah. I'm very tempted to keep posting those porno images back in, but I'm gonna.
No.
Don't need to. It's like see it on my. It'll be the last thing I see before I die.
All right, I'm gonna try to jump back into the thing now.
Yes, please.
Yeah, where were we?
Right. So another item identified by this report is that the council cannot communicate and does not actually deal with tenant concerns and complaints, which is not surprising because that's how you end up with walls full of black mold and giant leaks that just destroy floors and everything.
I just want to say, I mean, I generally have tried to avoid hearing about this story because of how fucking depressing it is. But one of the few things I did see was it was a video of I think it was a single mother like living, you know, in I think it was like a 1 or a 2 bed flat, but they could only exist in the fucking kid's bedroom because literally the floor was sodden through. Like, she had to wear fucking flip-flops just so that only her feet got wet.
Yeah, that's...
Somewhere in this country right now, Tony Blair smiled.
Yeah.
There was a culture...
David Blunkett's wanking himself into a pillar of salt with that fucking report, I bet.
Yeah, there was an outmoded culture. There exists an outmoded culture and attitude among a number of council staff towards tenants, with tenants being seen as demanding, difficult to deal with, and less than worthy of respect. Once again, this is a Labour-run council.
The more I beat the shit out of this person, the more difficult and less worthy of respect they are.
Well, I mean, kind of difficult to do a lot of
The thing is, though, I mean, have you seen the way Labour councillors behave on Twitter? They're just fucking like absolute fucking roasters to a man, aren't they?
To a man, yeah, absolutely.
Scum. I mean, there's a few exceptions. Preston being one, but
yeah, I mean, you got a few exceptions.
Yeah, I mean, I've never gotten into beef with anyone from Preston Council on Twitter, presumably because they're actually doing things for the community rather than just sat on fucking Twitter complaining that we need Tony Blair back.
Yeah.
I mean,
we should mount more machine guns at the border, or whatever the fuck it is they're talking about this week.
Yeah. No, Labour councils are a varied fucking land of contrast by far. Like, I don't think there's any one group
But the thing is, David, they're
that
actually
go from
not.
one fucking... No, they really are.
Because they're like 96% white, mostly over the age of like 40 or 50, you know?
Yeah. I mean, really,
don't get me wrong, it's a minority, but like the few good Labour councillors do exist, but it's more of a question of why are you still in Labour?
Just fucking, I mean, just disgusting freaks, so many of them. I mean, really, like, completely coasting on
why is anyone still in Labour, though? You know what I mean?
Well, we'll get into that in but a moment, I think.
And how much longer do you think Kieth's going to be in Labour?
Now, the reason, apart from that, obviously, Labour councils are shite that I bring this up. Croydon Council in particular, this is also the council of David Evans, the General Secretary of the Labour Party, about whom a number of interesting stories are doing the rounds, all of which are being reported on, so I can talk about them without getting us into trouble.
Do we get into trouble if I call him Big Davy?
I think you probably get into more trouble if you called him Big David.
Is he up to that shit as well, is he?
He is. Whilst he is
a man of many skills.
According to reports, he is
liable.
Just take it from this as the council of David Evans.
Yeah, so the reason I bring this up, apart from that Croydon Council is fucking shite, is that this is also the council where David Evans, current General Secretary of the Labour Party, appointed under Keir Starmer but never confirmed.
I know that guy. Big Davy, we call him.
Fuck's sake. No. Keep
anyway,
going, Rob.
I'm sorry.
While he was, I think, deputy leader of the Labour Council of Croydon, they also paid his own company called the Campaign Company £200,000 for quote-unquote local engagement and policy development.
Fucking policy development for a right-wing Labour politician.
Yeah.
It's a fucking black hole because it's always the same fucking thing, which is bomb anyone who's fails the fucking paper bag test and privatise and sell off the fucking state. Like, that's...
Yeah.
What
and,
other
and
policies
leave the
have they
money in
ever
a
had?
paper bag behind the McDonald's.
So the contract specifically between Croydon Council and the Campaign Company at the time ran from 2014 to 2017 and were awarded not to David Evans himself, but to his former partner and the mother of his child, who became deputy leader of the council. So, it's not like there's a bunch of double dealing going on, or that the General Secretary of the Labour Party may be involved with trousering funds from a council of which he and his former partner enjoy some level of control.
Jeremy Corbyn's biggest biggest fucking failure was him
not doing Stalinist purges.
I mean, basically, not taking them all back behind the McDonald's and kissing them all directly on the mouth.
Can I just say though, like you said, he'd been trousering the money, and that is such a tabloid expression, that isn't it? People trouser
Well, it's funny
things.
you should mention a tabloid because this was all cited in the Daily Mail.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty funny that
Did they describe it as a howler?
I mean, we fucking said this from day one. As soon as the press is going to actually, decide that now's the time to stab Starmer in the front or whatever, and all this rancid corruption, particularly David Evans and co.
Allegedly,
it was I mean, it's in the Mail. I mean, make of that what you will.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, how have they rejected it? Have they denied it?
Well, I mean, the central problem with so much of this reporting shit is I fucking hate citing the Daily Mail and I fucking hate reading the Daily Mail. But the problem is that, this is the dual bullshit of British media. The Guardian will do Tory scandals, but will never really touch Labour scandals, unless it's Corbyn.
At the same time, the Mail is one of the fucking newspapers that, the Mail and the fucking Sun, and I suppose to a lesser extent the Telegraph, are the newspapers that Keir Starmer is specifically interested in courting. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, do you know what I mean? Because he's got to do the racism to win back the working class.
Well,
working class is defined by accents and racism, as we all know. And while we're talking about the Sun, can we pour one out to that fucking prick that died at the Sun this week?
The man who fucking
the wife murderer, the wife murderer guy. That guy died.
The guy whose wife didn't matter in all the weepy fucking tributes.
Yeah, and also I think when in the 500-page fucking obituary that they published, that I assume he wrote himself, they mentioned that he retired because of his second wife's ill health. But I seem to recall that he retired because he was involved in that fucking thing where they got caught up, they've been bribing public officials. Someone at the MOD ended up with fucking jail time for it. I seem to recall he was the point man on that, and so he escaped any kind of conviction, but he retired. But he's dead now, so we can say whatever we like, you know.
Yeah, so fuck him.
Guy. Oh yeah, you can't lie about the dead. Well, then he also.
No. We're just going to be careful on that one and not bother because unnecessary.
Anyway,
but also to try and smear him with shit like that, detracts from the fact that his very real crime of murdering his fucking wife.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Didn't he strangle her?
He drowned her in the bath.
Oh, that was
described. Yeah. It was described as a suicide pact. He drowned her in the bath, and then he hilarious Mr. Bean series of gasps, as I'm sure they described it in the Sun. He then failed to kill himself 6 times, so his heart was really in it. You know what I mean? It was just a comedy of errors, really. Wasn't it? He tried putting his head in the oven, but apparently that didn't work. He tried to hang himself, but he couldn't find the right position.
Did he? Did he just go to lunch?
You need the Kama Sutra. You need the Kama Sutra to work out how to hang yourself, and then he threw himself out of a window, but landed in a bin.
I think they call that Kama Sutra.
Just a series of hilarious japes, that end with him crashing his car in the nude or something.
Speaking of people who crash their cars, shall we do the second part of our?
Shall we talk about Kieth? Is that is that the segue there?
Yeah. That is the segue.
We need to talk about Kieth.
We do.
By the time this episode goes out, he's probably ex-leader. You know what I mean? He's having that fucking. He's having a fucking week, isn't he?
No, I don't think it's going to come to that.
No,
I think it is. Even Mandelson's putting the fucking Mandelson, who was somehow the fucking man of the hour again. He's returned to save Labour, and he's putting the fucking knife into Kieth now.
Yeah, just today in the fucking New Statesman. But I mean, I think David, you and I agree that he's not that easily gotten rid of. The specific reason that I don't think he'll be that easily gotten rid of.
Why is he not that easy to get rid of? He fucking does nothing.
He's great. I mean,
no, but it's not because he is actually easy to get rid of. It's just that people who would benefit from getting rid of him do not want to do it yet. The reason being that until David Evans is actually confirmed as the help.
Well, specifically, the reason is that
master of racism. I don't know what.
No, the fucking what was his position?
General Secretary?
Yeah, until David Evans is confirmed as General Secretary, and they change the rules on how you vote for a new leader. He's going to remain there until that point. He's there, and the minute that's all fucking dealt with, though, like the
he goes overboard.
But you say that, David. But did you see that? I think it was Mandelson himself was saying, he blamed the fucking electoral college of Labour of 2010 for not electing David Miliband, the lost son of Labour.
Fortunately,
can I just say to Peter Mandelson, if he happens to be listening, just fuck off, mate, will you? And anyone else who's just got a hard on for David Miliband,
apparently that fucking guy is also like 67 years old. I'm like, do you not? You've hung out with Jeffrey Epstein. Can you not just fucking retire? Can you just piss the fuck off? Like that would be easier for everybody. But specifically for me, the reason that I think Kieth is going to survive is that
he could retire, but he doesn't have a nice island to go to and visits now. So
yeah.
Now
that Epstein's dead, where does Mandelson buy his shirts?
Now that the Labour Party is like fully all about shagging flags. All David Miliband would have to do to get elected as leader would be to do an extraordinary rendition of Rule Britannia.
Anyway, but the specific reason I think that he'll stick around is what we've seen certainly over the weekend is that he's really stepped up his game.
He's a political mastermind.
In this specific interview he did,
stepping up his game in the acceleration of the destruction of the Labour Party.
Well, you say that.
You'll love to see it.
He did his first interview, and it was a fucking car crash. My favourite line, when asked, like, what are you going to do differently, because it's not gone very well, he said, I will be changing the things that need changing. That is the change I will bring about.
Yeah, we covered that last time, didn't we?
Oh, did we? Oh, well.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we brought that last episode, yeah. It's still good.
It's still good.
No, yeah, that is an eternal line. That is an evergreen. If it was a tweet, it would be evergreen because that is sublime. It says nothing. It is the most empty sentence I've heard in my entire fucking life.
But my favorite,
and that is fascinating.
So when we recorded the last episode, had he started to fucking move his tanks around?
Well,
like fire rain and all that shit.
No. It's nice to bring that one up because at that point when we recorded that episode, that was like the biggest rake that he'd stood on was actually fucking committing that interview. And
since then he's asked several people to hold his fucking beer, hasn't he? Because he fired Rayner, and then he abstained on whether or not he'd fired Rayner.
Oh, and then he promoted her.
Can I tell you?
Yeah, she wasn't fired; she was promoted.
Can I tell you the story of the attempted sack of Angela Rayner? Because it's actually really
please do.
There's some. Obviously, the thing was, he said, "Oh, I'll take full responsibility," whilst trying to shovel Angela Rayner out the door.
I'll take full responsibility by finding out who is responsible and to blame them instead.
But whilst that was being done, his grubby little minions were obviously already briefing the press that it was really Angela Rayner's fault. The first one was Jim McMahon, MP, who, by the way, was the guy who ran the Hartlepool campaign. So obviously someone you really have to ask for grand strategic advice. Who briefed that Angela Rayner dressed inappropriately for a visit to the town.
I saw that.
Yeah. Do you know what?
Yeah, the best part of that was, it was like, she turned up wearing a hoodie, and it's like, it's a fucking coat. They generally have hoods, but you don't describe them as hoodies. Do you know what I mean? The hoodie is a specific thing.
Obviously, the issue with the dress was that the heels that she was wearing didn't have a negative number of inches on them.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's like, first of all, as far as I'm concerned, nothing ever should have a dress code attached to it. People just turn up wherever you want, dressed however you fucking want. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But even if they've decided that somehow, if you're deputy leader of the Labour Party, you'd better dress important Oh, you better look important.
Yeah.
She turned up looking like she always looks. Do you know what I mean? It's not like she fucking
fucking normal.
It's not like she turned up in a fucking sequin jumpsuit or something, and it was the first time she'd ever worn that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was fucking fine.
Dressed the way she always dressed. Yeah,
It's
perfectly fucking normal. Like,
it's interesting that we're only hearing now about this in this, in my opinion, somewhat sexist. Approach to.
I think you've been generous by describing that as somewhat sexist.
Yes, indeed. Portrayal of the things that women in the Labour Party or people high up in the Labour Party are wearing, almost as though there was some kind of report that sort of highlighted this issue. But it's interesting that we're only hearing about this now and not the entirety of the last, I suppose, 2 years at this point.
Well, I mean, apart from the...
Alistair, listen. She turned up wearing what she wanted, right? That's not the dress code. Keir Starmer wore blue suits. Peter Mandelson wore blue
everyone
suits.
wears fucking blue
Keir
suits.
Starmer,
Jesus Christ.
and his large adult bodyguard wore a blue suit. Like, there is a uniform here, and she did not abide to those rules.
No, but it gets even better. There's another story that was briefed. This is from the...
Can I just say, while we're talking about Angela Rayner, like, obviously Rayner is a melt, and I'm like, if she loses a job, I don't give a fuck.
No.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But what I will say is that it's very telling that they fucking, like, do you know what I mean? She's the first person Kieth decides to throw under the bus. Because, like, and there was people fucking, like, running around, oh, he's fired the most visibly working class. Like, the fuck even is that, visibly working class? Like, go fuck yourselves. Do you know what I mean?
You got fucking tattooed on your forehead.
But like, the issue with, like, Rayner and her working classness is it's the wrong kind of working classness for the Labour Party.
Yeah, not like Jess Phillips.
No, like, well, what I mean is it's like, you see people all the time on Twitter when, like, you call them Kieth, and everyone's like, oh, you're calling him Kieth, that's like, you don't like working class people. And it's like, he's not working class, he's a knight of the fucking realm, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, I'm not going to go and fucking research his family history to work out whether he was originally working class as a child or whatever. I don't give a fuck. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's not, I can tell you right now, he is not working class, right? And he hasn't been, if he ever was, he hasn't been for quite some time.
He wasn't.
Look,
his dad owned a factory.
Yeah, I was going to say, the thing you need to understand is, being working class is hereditary, and the only way to know if you're working class is if your dad has ever worked in a mine.
But
irrespective of any property that you might own today.
Yeah, but my point is, Rayner was like, she's a bit too working class for them. Like, she never like bettered herself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like Kieth is the good working class as far as they're concerned, because they can go, oh, well, his dad worked in a factory. You know what I mean?
He aspired out of being working class. And
yeah, that's
point.
Exactly it. Like, that's the good kind of working class as far as the Blairites are concerned. Angela Rayner, for all her faults, has never been ashamed of being working class. And so she's like, no one ever fucking holds her up as an example of how the Labour Party can connect to the working class. It's always, no, Kieth can connect to the working class because, like, his dad worked in a factory and he's prepared to be racist. Do you know what I mean? And it's like,
is this epigenetic working classism?
Correct.
Yeah, the problem is, like, if you're working class and it's something that you aspire to get out of and then become a millionaire and go to dinner parties, that's cool, and you're going to be held up forever. Even once you're like, you're on Dragon's Den or some shit, you're going to be held up forever as an example of the good working class, because they like,
that's all
they fucking became a landlord and then fucking, like, earned $1 million or whatever. Whereas if you're content to just, like, stay working class and not, like, fucking, like, up your game, well, then you deserve fucking asbos and, like, benefit sanctions.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
So like, Blairites getting the fucking bin is what I'm saying.
Yes.
I just wanted to tell one more quick story about this Rayner firing business, because it's just so emblematic of, like, the paranoia and, like, the weirdness that surrounds, like, Keir and, like, his leadership team and everything. This is from the Times. I'll just tell you the whole story at once. For an indication of just how paranoid and petty relations now are, consider the following anecdote. Labour sources claim that a party official eating in an Indian restaurant hundreds of miles away from Westminster last summer overheard a woman saying that her child worked for Angela Rayner, did not like Keir Starmer, and wished Corbyn was still in charge. When this party official reported said overheard conversation to London, this was taken as a sign of disloyalty at the heart of Angela Rayner's team. The allegation was denied, of course, but first, Angela Rayner's team forced all its members to consult their own mothers whether or not such a conversation did take place in a curry house.
What the fuck is it with every single creep who is involved in fucking FBPE is obsessed with overheard conversations in restaurants? What is wrong with these people?
No, this is a fucking paradigm shift. This, right? What you are seeing is liberals attempting to learn. So they know what happened to Jeremy Corbyn after he was overheard in a Nando's about fucking Brexit. They know the ramifications of such things.
But can you imagine?
And this is them trying to get the fucking early foot in.
But can you imagine? I mean, you must already be a world-class freak show to be that high in these sort of in the team of Keir or the team of Angela, whoever. But that somebody, your boss, your line manager, whoever the fuck comes up to you and says, by the way, a couple of weeks ago, was your mother having dinner in a curry house, and did she say something about... And can you imagine what it must be like to ring your own fucking mother and say, by the way...
Well, I was just going to say, anyone involved in that fucking story who actually rang their mother to ask is a fucking nerd. Do you know what I mean? I would was your mom... nah, fuck off, mate.
I mean,
do you know what I mean? What the fuck even is that? Or someone, we're not saying who, overheard a woman claiming that, it's what? Fuck off. Do you know what I mean? Come back when you've got, an actual thing to just, don't fucking, you know what I mean? Just game of fucking rumours.
I mean,
someone, heard this, it's what?
I mean, the more...
It's fucking ridiculous. Were they drunk at the time?
The more important part maybe is that Angela Rayner and Jenny Chapman don't get along. And look, that kind of office tension can be very difficult. You know.
Oh, are we going to talk? Are we going to talk about Dim Shipman's tweet?
Yeah, we are going to very, very carefully talk about that tweet. Yes.
Yes.
Can we read out the specific contents of the tweet? I think that
we can. Yes. We can read out what Tim Shipman himself tweeted.
Right. Just for purposes of being textually accurate, and also saying that he very swiftly deleted this tweet, but not after a million screenshots were taken, of course. I'll read the tweet, which was sent on the 8th of May. Labour source claims that Jenny Chapman has been banned from Keir Starmer's house on orders of Keir Starmer's wife. The plot thickens.
And what do we make of that, friends?
We will make nothing of that. We will allow you, the listener, to fill in the blanks from what Tim Shipman said, and not us.
Yes. But speaking of spreading rumours, today Caroline Harris, the private secretary to Keir Starmer, had to resign, and this is quoting directly from the Times, amidst claims she spread baseless rumours about Angela Rayner's private life. Asked by the Times about these rumours, Mrs. Harris immediately blocked this reporter on WhatsApp.
Right, so we don't know. Was this anything to do with a St. George's Cross bedspread?
Oh, good Lord. I just want to say though, the
can I just say
that.
though, blocking the fucking reporter on WhatsApp is just an absolutely fucking chef kiss move. That Keith could learn a thing or two from her. That is how you fucking do things forensically.
I fucking die, Russell.
Just take the David Cameron move of just walking out of an interview, just saying right, good, and then walking away from the person interviewing you. Just take that a step further, and just in the middle, when you get asked a difficult question, just suddenly pretend you can't speak English.
Oh, just tell him you're Scottish.
She, by the way, if you remember, that was a story from, I think, last year. She was also responsible for inviting a known fraudster who had previously swindled £45,000 out of people by pretending she had cancer, I think, to talk at an anti-gambling event. That was also Keir Starmer's principal private secretary, Carolyn Harris. So well done her, too. Really, really ace stuff. Although they have brought in new talent, about whom I will not say too much, except for one bit, which I just found A, sort of emblematic of the state of the Labour Party, and B, fucking hilarious. There's a new head of strategy in town, a woman called Deborah Mattinson, who is the founder of a consultancy focus group thing called Britain Thinks, one word. Previously, it gets better. Previously,
why do I know that name?
Oh, because there's an amazing story attached to this. The Britain Thinks, by the way, apart from working for the Labour Party, has also done work for the Home Office, McDonald's, the Prison Service, Virgin Money, and also the TUC for some reason. But anyway, largely a good group of people, as I think, sure you'll agree. She was profiled on Pagefield. I'm not sure what that is. I think that's like a representative thing for consultants. And they did a little profile of what kind of work goes on at Britain Thinks, specifically under Deborah Mattinson.
I'm telling you right now, nothing. No work takes place there. It's where money goes and then disappears, and then consultancy comes out the other end.
Serious brain work goes on at Britain Thinks, as you would imagine from the title of the company. I will read you two brief paragraphs from this Pagefield profile on her. When she, i.e. Deborah Mattinson, used the focus group projective technique, if this politician were an animal,
for fuck's sake.
Boris Johnson was often described as a sheep. He is seen as aimless, chasing different audiences with a lack of communication and clarity, a stark difference with Get Brexit Done, which won the vote, blah, blah. Starmer, on the other hand, was described as... Anybody want to take a guess what animal Keir Starmer is, according to the voters?
Fuckwit.
I actually saw this, and it was a fucking eagle.
Yes!
I just want to say, you can't say what animal you associate something with, and then explain what that means if it's not immediately obvious. I mean, when the fuck have sheep ever been criticised for their lack of communication?
Starmer, on the other hand, was described as an eagle. While this may seem a favourable condition, Deborah highlighted how Starmer's leadership and scrutiny of the government seemed detached, similar to an eagle as he circles above the fray and creates distance between him and his prey, rather than directly attacking.
This person has never seen an eagle in their life.
Also, like, Keith's only prey are like the poor and minorities.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. His prey is absolutely categorically not like fucking his political opponents.
No, but I mean, but this is just to me again. You know,
Keith's prey is delivery cyclists.
Did they also ask these fucking participants what shape they thought that the politicians represented best, based on what fit into a bucket best?
But I mean, like, this is just so emblematic. I mean, we've talked on this podcast before about sort of the dependency on focus groups and all this shit. But this is what you get. You get this fucking crank shit in where, you know, some person comes in and you've paid them, if you're David Evans, you've paid them 200,000 quid for, you know, policy research and development. And then somebody comes in and says, Keith, according to the people we've spoken to, you're a badger. And then she's like,
I just want to say, people levy the phrase crank at like quite a large swath of people. People saying things, you know, for example, the state of Israel does some fucked up shit. That's considered by a large number of people in the political field a crank opinion. What is apparently not a crank opinion, as you have laid out before us, Rob, is comparing Boris Johnson to a sheep and Keir Starmer to a fucking eagle, and not based on his ability.
Listen. Oh. It doesn't matter that you can interpret it in any ways that you want, so that you can walk away from this podcast thinking that majority of people understand Keir Starmer spends a lot of time with dead mice in his mouth. That's how focus grouping works. That's just it.
But I mean, it's good that we get these new people in because we're going to have to pay them big salaries, of course, and that's going to be easy because apparently, again, from the Times, they did a lot of reporting, so I have no better sources to go on. But the party coffers are not in a very good shape. I've got again from a different article.
I can't imagine why. They've only burned off most of the membership and settled a bunch of lawsuits they were going to win. So I'd imagine they're fucking raking it in.
Yeah, I mean, most of the budget. This is from the Times. Most of the budget had to be earmarked for statutory investigations and legal cases against former staff members, i.e., paying off pricks and fucking.
I would say had to is is load bearing in that fucking sentence.
Yeah. The article goes on to say that I know we talked about this on Saturday, but weirdly enough, the Corbyn small donor base doesn't seem to be responding very well, and big business is not coming in. And apparently, the funds are so low, they're now considering maybe scrapping some shadow cabinet posts. The specific one mentioned in the report is that the shadow cabinet secretary for mental health could be scrapped because there's not enough money to pay the staff.
Of course it fucking could.
Yeah.
I just want to say, it's great that, these fucking ghouls, this entire fucking party from the bottom up, they don't, apart from some small subsections, don't give a fuck about actually winning an election. I
thought you were going to say mental health. Because I was going to say, people might say it's a disgrace that they decide that the first shadow cabinet office to go is mental health, but who gives a fuck? Do you know what I mean? It's not like the actual if there's is there an actual minister for mental health?
I think there's a shadow Secretary of State or something. I was going to
say, I think Jeremy Corbyn sort of created that role when he was the leader.
But if there was such a role in government, it wouldn't fucking do anything. Do you know what I mean? We've got no mental health services. And the government, every mental health awareness day, they just go oh yeah, please be aware of mental health.
I just want to say
there is actually a minister for patient safety, suicide prevention, and mental health. It's Nadine Dorries.
No.
There might as well not be.
You telling me that has made my mental health worse, so she's great at that fucking job.
I do want to say,
really, they can whoever's shadow fucking Secretary of State for mental health, they can fucking grind that person into a dust, do you know what I mean, and snort them. I don't give a fuck. It's not like they're gonna have any effect at all on anyone's life, are they? It's not like anyone in the shadow cabinet does anything of fucking value ever. So. The quality. Bin them all off to save money. The quality
of mental health related ministers in this country are so great. And I can't remember if I've actually said this on the pod before, but it's how you end up with, for example, someone on a crisis line saying to someone going through a crisis that in order to assuage their the crisis that they're in, that they should have a bath. And upon finding out and being told that this person going through a crisis does not have a bath, they told the person, "Why don't you lay on the ground and pretend you're having a bath?" That is the state that fucking mental health is mental health care in this country is. And that's not to say that therefore get rid of the shadow mental health secretaries. That if anything, it is just completely egregious and disgusting that the paltry offerings that the current Labour Party have are even that meagre sort of thing, a shadow minister is being got rid of because we have to pay off a bunch of fucking dickheads.
Yeah. Oh, it's like I say, it's disgraceful, but in terms of in practical terms, it's not going to make any fucking difference, really, is it?
No,
you know what I mean? No. They could just scrap fucking leader of the opposition, really.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone would notice.
I mean, for
at least a few weeks.
It's of course now all the usual. I mean, we talked about Mandelson. All the usual weirdos are coming out of the woodwork saying that the thing to do now is cut the link to the unions or the hard left fractions of the unions.
We're back here again. It's 2014 all over again.
There again. Margaret Hodge. People are deluded.
Tell her to fuck off.
If they think
sick of hearing from Margaret Hodge, quite frankly.
Fuck off as well. But I mean,
why doesn't she appeal to the BNP about it?
Yeah. But none of this shit, like, none of this fucking petty ass, tittle tattle over curry lunches. Who said what to whom? Who wore what to Hartlepool? None of this matters, and none of this.
Who is or isn't banned from Keir Starmer's house?
Well, do you know what does matter? Reshuffles.
Oh, fuck me.
Off. I mean, also, like...
Yeah. I'm with Rob on this one, like, you know what I mean?
No. I want to cover parts of this. I'm not going to go through the whole fucking thing because most of
David, let's be honest. About 4 people got moved around, like...
No, well, there was a few minor fucking
has been
things.
reshuffled slightly closer to a McDonald's, and that's about it.
Yeah. So I'll start off Annalise Dodds.
Where's Streeton? You could tell he was in line for a promotion because he went back and deleted that tweet where he complained about the kids outside the train station bullying him by calling him a uni boy.
For a suitcase on wheels.
Yeah.
Do you know how many of those tweets related to how much he just loves to eat potatoes made by his mum? There was a shocking amount of that, like every single fucking second tweet. Yum yum, roast dinner.
Yeah, my mum's making a roast dinner. Man. Yum yum. Oh, where's my dinner, ma'am? You had one job.
Yeah,
just fucking.
He went full Jess Phillips on one of them. So we'll start there then. Right, Wes Streeton got a promotion to. He's now the shadow fucking secretary for child poverty
Children's
or something.
Big dinners.
Shadow secretary for what there?
For child poverty.
Because I heard you say for child pot, and then Alistair like bulldozed over the top of you.
No, definitely not. It was for child poverty, with the connotations of for child poverty fully intact there. Yeah. The Happy Meals will be withheld until the pocket money improves. And we've also had Annalise Dodds, the former Shadow Chancellor, who brought you the barnstorming policy of COVID recovery bonds.
Oh, yeah, the most powerful
policy they shot that one out and immediately flushed it down the toilet, didn't they?
Yeah, she's gone. She is now... She's not gone. She's now in charge of...
I mean, was she ever really there?
She's forgotten but not gone.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. She's been replaced, though, by Rachel Reeves.
I think this is the most singular, most predictable thing to have happened this year.
I think we've said this literally on the podcast a number of times. This was going to happen.
There was I can't remember who it was, but someone held a little kind of competition on Twitter to see which shitposter called this the earliest, and there was someone had called it like within a day or two, I think, of Keir Starmer appointing her to the Shadow Cabinet as the pointless position of Shadow to Michael Gove.
Imagine being Michael Gove's Shadow. What a fate.
Yeah,
but yeah, so Rachel Reeves, the thing to highlight here is she's now the Shadow Chancellor. She is also the one.
She's also very sorry for all that shit she said about benefits.
She did the fucking weep.
Well, yeah, that's it. Yeah,
in the New Statesman, it was like,
oh,
I didn't when I said that Labour would be tougher on people on benefits than the Tories, I didn't mean it. What I really meant to say was that we were going to invest more in communities. I'm like, You know, we were awake. The fucking cameras were rolling. Like, I hate this. Is such a modern political thing. It's like, the thing when I actually said we should feed the poor into a grinder and eat their slurry.
No, she was totally open about the fact that this meant like tightening up sanctions and making sure that they were applied to more people and stuff. Like it was blatant. It was honest policy from. Someone coming from a genuine position of ideological principle, and that's what her ideological principles are. It is kill the poor. So, cool. She's the Shadow Chancellor. She now gets to fucking put out opposing policy to the Tories.
Owen Jones today had that article where he banged on about how she was sorry about all that stuff and didn't really mean it, and we should take her at her word. And then later on said that, when someone tells you who they are, you should believe them the first time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Apparently
in the same fucking article.
He claimed that
when the guy asks you for your wallet so he can inspect it, you should hand it over.
Yeah. I mean, he tried to come back later and say, no, actually what I meant to say was that people shouldn't get angry at Rachel Reeves, but at like the leadership destroying the left. It's like
Well, you see, the thing
is, is Kieth going to go to war with me? Oh, I'm so terrified. Like,
you see, the thing is, I'm perfectly capable of being angry at multiple things at once.
Oh, yeah, I'm more than capable of that. Like, fucking hell.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Jamie's Beeves episode.
It's just, but I can't give a fuck about other. They're reshuffle on the failed. I genuinely tried to like construct a full timeline of this fucking weekend and who said what to whomston. My deep and vicious loathing, of this tittle-tattle Versailles Palace level fucking miserable gossip about these miserable, sad little people with their miserable, who only want to stay in the magic circle so they can go to the fucking green room of fucking Times Radio and hang out with Ayesh Hazariki and giggle on about fucking hipster. I could happily walk all these people into a fucking wood chipper.
Well, the only things that are worth really mentioning here is the fact that Dodds is now fucking demoted.
But not demoted.
No, Dodds has been demoted.
No, she's demoted, but not demoted. Just like
no, that's not Dodds. That's Rayner you're thinking of. So Dodds was demoted, and that was clear. Rayner was also demoted from being like fucking party chair to now being in charge of policy. But then there was this whole thing about, is she actually in charge of things above the station of Reeves or whatever? Who cares? But the fact is that Dodds is gone. Reeves is now up, and she's a complete shit, and will be responsible for setting out fiscal policy on behalf of the Labour Party that is there to challenge the shit the Tories put out. So that's not fucking good. The other upside, though, is that Wes Streeton got a promotion. Jess Phillips didn't. So my dark prophecy of Wes Streeting for leader is now becoming closer to reality.
That is true. We are getting closer to the Babs timeline.
Yes. Happy Meals and Babs.
But yeah, I mean, genuinely.
That's largely. One other thing, which is fucking hilarious. So they sacked Nick Brown, right, who was the chief whip, and like you think, not really doing that well. New leader, probably don't sack the guy who knows where all the bodies are buried. But guess what? In true Labour form, he put out a nice little statement saying that he had a lovely time working as chief whip, but he's happy to step aside now. Like, no, you milk cunt. Just fucking show us where all the bodies are. Just take them all out. You have the power to do this. But no, coward.
I mean, it would be unseemly.
Imagine being such a petty piece of shit that ostensibly all this fucking reshuffle was in the wake of losing Hartlepool and the terrible local elections. I mean, because everyone knows the fucking name of Nick Brown and are very displeased with his performance in the last 10 years or whatever. But yeah, being so petty that you have to get rid of the guy who's been chief whip for since Tony Blair. Just because he didn't refuse to work with Jeremy Corbyn, essentially.
That's it. Yeah, that's just, it's a pure retribution shot, and it's, if anything, it's quite a clever one in that it gives them something to say. Well, that's that legacy kicked, and then all of us are like, and what? Like, we can see that for what it is. It's not actually a genuinely factional thing, but they're making out to be a factional thing to satisfy some other people who are at the moment not very fucking happy. So what have we got to look forward to from Labour now then? So we've got a policy review, right, which is going to be led by Dodds. Again, someone who is, as we know, very good at policy. So that'll be good. We've got that new fucking Deborah Mattinson. She's going to be in charge of
comparing people to
the
horses
campaign.
Or whatever.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so the horse understander will be in charge of the upcoming by-election in Batley and Spen, which will be fucking incredible, especially when all the Joe Cox states get pulled out, as Jess Phillips has already started doing.
Oh.
Yes, we'll come to that as and when it becomes relevant. I don't want to fucking start preempting shit. But yeah, so the Labour Party is just going to continue on as it is, on its downward fucking trend, and I could not be any happier about it.
I mean, it's been hilarious this weekend, but it's also just exhausting having Will you just die or do something interesting? Because like now I'm fucking. I mean, I had a whale of a time this weekend on the timeline. I will fucking say that, but.
Oh yeah.
I'm so.
If you didn't catch it,
I'm sick of these people. I'm sick of it. I'm sick, and also like none of this rearranging the goddamn deck chairs on the none of this fucking rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic is going to do a literal squat fucking thing about the structural issues that are wrong with the fucking country or with the fucking party or the distribution of seats in the first past the post and how they constitute. None of this fucking matters. We're all just fucking watching the world's like the soap opera for the world's ugliest fucking people, and I'm just. I know this is a politics podcast, but I fucking spent now like a day and a half putting this shit together. I hate all of them. I hate them.
Well, Rob, I will give you a gift, right? Next week we will not talk about Labour.
Yes, please.
We will talk about Scottish Labour.
Well, I don't know.
I was going to say we'll just pivot to cultural shit full time, man.
No.
Speaking of pivoting,
no,
shall we,
I want to talk about the death of the Labour Party.
Yeah, I mean, it will be entertaining again, but it's just like...
My big question about the Batley and Spen by-election is, do you think Labour are going to like actually go so far as to shame people into voting for them? Because obviously they obviously all believe, right? I think it's a safe bet that they all believe that they deserve the votes there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they kind of feel that everywhere, but they're going to especially think that because, like, a sitting Labour MP was murdered in that constituency, that, like, the public have a duty to vote in another Labour MP.
Well, remember,
you think...
as Labour councillor Chris Williams said, the voters have let us down.
Well, yeah, but do you think they're actually going to, ahead of time, they're going to go out and tell people, you know what I mean, Joe Cox would have wanted you to, like, return a Labour
Absolutely, 100%.
Absolutely.
They're going to dig her up and drag her through the streets with a big fucking red rosette and a frowny face painted on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what else?
There's going to be like a fucking nuclear tweet about it. I'm predicting that now.
I mean,
right. I'm gonna say we stop talking about this.
Yes.
I do not want to enact the fucking lathe on this by-election of all fucking by-elections. Like, we cannot have that happen. I'm sorry, but it's going to be too fucking spicy as it is.
What do you mean, David? I'm really looking forward to Paul Williams becoming an MP.
Oh, please let him run. Yeah, if we can leave anything, it can be him being the candidate. That would be perfect.
Right, so shall we move on? I can't talk about
yes,
it.
let's.
Well, appalled by it.
I've got some bad news about the future of this podcast for you.
Nah, fuck it. We'll just have an embargo on the Labour Party. Fuck them. They're not that important. Do you know what I mean? It's not like they're going to do anything interesting.
No, I mean, we'll talk about them again. I just don't want to talk about them right now anymore.
Before they disappear up their own arseholes. So.
It has been an exceedingly funny week, though. It
has. Oh yeah. Speaking of which, if you missed it, the VOD survived. So if you missed the stream that Sinan had on the previous Saturday night, a lot of this stuff actually came in live while some of us were on the stream. Please do go check that out. It's on his YouTube channel and it'll be there on Twitch as well.
The highlight of that is when you, like, fucking, you know what I mean, reluctantly read out the fucking Queers for Kieth. Queers for Kieth tweet.
Yeah, so go to twitch.tv/SK the Crusader.
Yes, it will be there. Yeah, it's also on his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Links will be in the description.
Find out about Keith's warm seed.
Right, so we don't have any comment or commentary. I did promise you comment or commentary, and I'm going to break that promise now because
Why don't you just go and join the fucking Labour Party if that's
I know, right? I know. Shocking. Yeah, so we don't have any comment or commentary this week. I didn't bother, if I'm honest.
And I read 2 minutes.
This is exactly what you...
A lot of that going around, quite frankly.
Yeah. Obviously this is what you expect from your now...
Yeah. You spent the time watching Justified, which is, you know, a better use of
that
your
is
time.
True. I did actually. I finally... Yeah, as an update, Justified update, I finished season 1.
It's such a good season.
We're getting places.
Oh, that last shot, like, of Raylan at the end of that season.
Yeah.
Love it.
It's all good.
Yeah.
But
and
yeah,
just to preempt people like fucking, because someone's bound to complain sooner or later that we're like fucking we're doing too much like content about Justified. Do you know what I mean? Well, we might not even actually do any fucking like cultural committee on it because you know it's like it's good, and what will we talk about when we have to
Yeah, well,
like
you
do an episode about something
have to
good?
listen to us for like 90 minutes going, oh my god, that scene, it's so fucking good. Oh my god, that scene, it's so fucking good.
Yeah.
Which, you know,
Yeah,
it is all true. And you should
I mean, I don't want to speak. I don't want to speak for everyone on the pod, but personally, I'm alarmingly gay for cowboys.
No, you and me both. We'll go line dancing sometimes. That's fun.
Maybe do it like as a premium episode or something of that kind for the true diehard
All right,
listeners.
yeah, because
we have a Patreon.
we have a Patreon now,
you
don't
can
we?
subscribe.
We do,
That we're incredibly fucking like competent at promoting.
Yeah, it's not the rampant imposter syndrome that all of us have. You can subscribe if you aren't already to us on the Patreon. It's patreon.com/praxiscast. There's different levels. It's the same kind of extra. The only extra content you're getting at the minute is Discord. We are looking at doing bonus episodes. They will be coming in the future. We still don't have a date on that yet. Stay tuned. If you are wanting to withhold your money until you can start getting bonus content, that's fine. If you want to support us in the meantime, that's also fine. There is Discord
And also,
access.
if you want to buy shirts, you can still buy the fucking shirts.
Yes, you can still buy the shirts. If you would like to
buy the
support
Normal
us by
Island
buying
shirt,
one
as
shirt a
modelled
month.
buy the Normal Island shirt as modelled by Sinan on the stream the other night.
Your promos, Jamie, are getting more like positive and optimistic. There's still shirts, motherfucker. Buy a shirt.
Yeah.
Well,
you know what I mean. I've got a fucking coffee link as well. If that's how you say that.
Yeah, if you want to play favourites and give Jamie money specifically, then you can do that.
Because as established on Twitter recently, I'm poor as fuck. So
yeah, truly the most working class of all of us.
Yeah, we need to keep Jamie and Jamie juice, otherwise he might be able to perform.
Yeah, I need to get those cans of skeleton brew.
All right, we will be back again, normal schedule next week. All right, so catch
and we will not be talking about the Labour Party. All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Well, goodbye.
Cheerio.
See ya.
Goodbye this episode.